Yeah, so Qualcomm comes out and absolutely nails it, and then the market turns around and cuts them by 10%. So it was a little bit of a weird one in that they delivered on everything in line with at least what I thought earnings and EPS expectations were, and then they just got absolutely hammered. Some of the highlights that were on top for me were, I love their big growth numbers. I mean, they're amazing. 63% growth in revenue, net income up 118%, EPS was up 119%, and really on the back primarily of 5G. But Qualcomm is no longer a one-hit wonder on handsets. They also announced that two of their ancillary businesses, RF front end and IoT, were in themselves billion-dollar businesses for the quarter. And I think, there's a couple of financial analysts who don't quite understand what Qualcomm was doing in RFFE, but Qualcomm pretty much put to bed that they have the largest mobile RFFE business over Broadcom, over Qorvo, and over Skyworks. And then I need to parse a little bit of that IoT business at $1 billion, but I believe that that is bigger than some pure play IoT businesses. And then finally, that $200 million automotive is actually bigger than NVIDIA's. And I need to get some more comps out of that. The biggest what's next about the stock, I think, is how can they take advantage of Huawei's decline, whether it's selling off Honor, where Qualcomm has access to all that, but also the Huawei brand shift for an Oppo, and even Qualcomm benefits when Apple comes in and takes share. They benefit when Samsung comes in many countries, not all countries. So there's just a tremendous amount of upside for this stock, and I can't quite explain to you where did it end up? Off 14% today or something?
Yeah, it saw a big hit today, Pat, and I'll just touch on a couple of things. The QCT business that you mentioned grew 81% year over year. 63% was overall number, including that very, very lucrative licensing business that also, by the way, was up on an annualized basis. So there really wasn't a down. I mean, the number and the expectation of the market was somewhat high. And as you and I had the chance to get briefed by Cristiano, the incoming CEO, and Steve Mollenkopf, both of them seem very confident that if TSM can meet demand, the revenue numbers will follow. So I just didn't feel there was that much to be negative about. If I could point to the Citigroup downgrade, it was absurd to me. Listen, their equities analysts at times nail it. And when it comes to the fundamentals, I certainly believe they do a great job of reading the spreadsheets. What gets missed sometimes is the context, right? There's a business here, and that's what we're trying to do here is tie these two things together.
Yeah.
The claim in the Citi research note, Pat, was that we're late in the 5G cycle, which was where in Qualcomm's experience during the 4G cycle, later on, margins started compressing on devices. There's no indication at this point that we are late in the 5G cycle. In fact, last year, I think there was somewhere around 225 million handsets that Qualcomm's technology was provided. They're estimating closer to 500 million this year. There are billions of 5G devices. And the other thing that's being missed by that particular research is 5G is going to have an implication on a lot more than just handsets. You're talking about connected PCs. You're talking about smart cities. You're talking about vehicles. You're talking about fixed 5G networks. You're talking about data centers. There are so many more places where 5G technology is going to be important, and it's going to connect to this broader ecosystem. So you look at 40% growth in all the adjacencies. You look at massive growth that's going to continue to exist in 5G. I'm just not that worried about it. I think the idea that margin compression is going to happen in the near term for Qualcomm is a little bit absurd and unproven. I'd love to see the data that supports that. I believe next quarter, just like this quarter, margins will continue to be stable or even grow, which, by the way, their margins did grow this year.